Hey guys, tonight we step into the world of sleepless gods, basket-induced identity crises, and divine education reform. Imagine Olympus not golden halls and echoing thunder, but a mildewed classroom tucked behind a column, where the goddess Athena runs night school for the mythologically underwhelming. You're here because insomnia struck again, and you figured, why not audit a course in celestial basket weaving? The fluorescent torchlight flickers, casting weirdly motivational shadows. You shuffle in late, obviously. Someone coughs, possibly a solder with bronchitis, and you squeeze into a seat woven from fig branches and mild judgment. The chalkboard says Introduction to Practical Fiber Constructs, Aesthetic and Tactical Considerations. You're already 40% confused, 60% hoping this will knock you out cold. Spoiler alert, you probably won't survive this academically, but that's okay. Athena once turned a girl into a spider for better attendance. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment below with your location and local time. I love seeing where and when you're listening from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first thing you notice about Athena is that she does not want to be here. She's pacing, muttering something about curricular redundancy, and occasionally glaring at her own PowerPoint scroll, which refuses to unroll evenly. Her owl, Glaucopus, sits on the chalkboard rail eating stale pomegranate seeds, watching you like you might plagiarize from Hestia's syllabus. According to mainstream mythology, Athena's usual resume includes things like birthing from Zeus's skull fully armored, inventing the flute, then quitting it because of cheek puffiness, and guiding epic heroes with cryptic advice and zero snacks. But here, she's an adjunct professor with a fraying toga and an attendance sheet. Apparently, even gods need side hustles. Welcome to intro weaving, she says with the tone of someone who has had one too many drachma deducted from her eternal pension. If you're here for hero training, leave. This is for those who need real skills. No one moves, probably because the door is stuck. The class includes a cyclops who blushes when addressed directly, a naiad who keeps spilling her water bottle from her elbow, an ancient philosopher's ghost that keeps correcting grammar from inside a pickle jar. Athena claps once. Basket weaving, she continues, is the spine of civilization. You can't store olive oil in your palm forever. Can you? A few immortals nod. One minotaur near the back raises a hoof like he's asking whether tuition includes ambrosia. Athena ignores him. Here's a thing historians still argue about: whether Athena actually taught mundane crafts like this to mortals and minor deities, or whether later poets just added that to make her seem more relatable, like giving her a Pinterest board. But there are references in some ancient pottery fragments showing her next to spools, reeds, and something suspiciously like a homework rubric. And then there's the fringe theory. That night, school was a form of punishment. Gods who caused minor chaos, like mislabeling sacred olives or inventing the kazoo, got assigned creative rehabilitation. You know, learn a skill, calm the temper, maybe make a nice fruit basket for Hera. Tonight, Athena says, you will select your material: vine, reed, papyrus, or goat beard hair. You do a double take. Goat, beard. She shrugs. It's sturdy. You wander toward the material table, which is guarded by a mildly aggressive sphinx doing crosswords. Every time someone grabs the papyrus, she hisses, wrong. No one knows if that's part of the riddle or if she's just bored. You settle on reed. It smells like slightly wet summer and failure. You sit. You try to make a loop. It snaps. The cyclops next to you whimpers and offers duct tape. He's clearly not understanding the ancient materials-only policy. Athena hovers. Remember, form follows function. A basket for grapes is not the same as one for storing cursed frogs. You raise your hand to ask a clarifying question, but get ignored in favor of someone who used symmetry. Classic. Still, there's something oddly relaxing about it. Your fingers weaving instinctively, The repetitive rhythm, almost like a heartbeat or a lullaby with splinters. You start thinking, maybe basket weaving is divine, or maybe sleep deprivation is finally winning. Outside, night deepens. The torches sputter. The owl hoots once, ominously. Someone somewhere is humming a tune that might be the theme from Hercules, but slower and sadder. Athena circles again, checking baskets like a sleepover mom, judging pillow fort quality. She pauses at yours. She says. At least it holds air. You nod like that's high praise. It's not, but she moves on. You hear scratching and turn to see the Cyclops drawing spirals on his desk with his fingernail. Maybe he's dreaming. Maybe that's ancient Cyclopean forget-me-out. Either way, he's at peace. And you? You're somehow still awake, tangled in reeds and existential doubt, wondering what lesson this myth is really trying to teach. Here's one final thought before the bell. Some myths aren't about gods or monsters or glory. Some are about waiting, about sitting still long enough to learn something dull but vital, like how to carry something you made with your own hands, even if no one notices. Athena stops in front of the class. Same time tomorrow, she says, already halfway into mist. The owl scoffs. If they survive. You yawn. Your fingers smell like ancient marshes and ambition. Somehow, you think you'll be back. You return the next night with slightly sore fingers and low expectations, just how Athena likes her students. The classroom looks exactly the same, which is either comforting or disturbing. There's still condensation on the cave walls, and the torches still flicker like they're unsure whether they're part of a drama or a cooking show. Tonight, Athena is already mid-lecture, talking to no one in particular and everyone all at once. Weaving is war, she says, pacing like she's preparing to storm Troy again. Strategy, patience, and the ability to suffer quietly for hours. You nod, even though you don't quite agree. War doesn't usually involve reeds and bleeding thumbs, but you're not about to argue with a goddess who once turned someone into a houseplant just for asking why owls can't blink. Athena looks different tonight. Her armor is gone, replaced by a practical linen apron covered in ink stains and some questionable bits of honeycomb. Her expression, however, is unchanged, tight-lipped, mildly exhausted, and one syllable away from detonating. Here's a mainstream historical fact that gets glossed over. Athena was worshipped not only as a war goddess but as a protector of crafts, especially weaving. She was credited with teaching the first loom techniques to mortals, helping women become economically and socially empowered in ancient Greece. She wasn't just dropping helmet fashion advice, but tonight isn't about looms. It's about her new thing, basketry. You can feel the tension in the room. The Cyclops from last night has already snapped 3 reeds and is chewing the 4th. The Naiad is trying to braid her own hair into her project, unclear if it's artistic or just a cry for help. The ghost in the pickle jar is mumbling Latin conjugations no one asked for. Athena slams a sample basket onto the table. It echoes. Behold, she says, the future of divine infrastructure. It's a decent-looking basket. Compact, strong, smells like sage and slight disappointment. You clap politely, mostly because everyone else does and you don't want to be the only one cursed with irremovable glitter. This, she continues, is what we should be known for. Not hurling lightning bolts like toddlers, not seducing mortals in various animal disguises. No, this is civilization. It's at this point that a minor deity in the back snorts. His name is probably Phylon, and he has the vibe of someone who once tried to unionize satyrs. Excuse me, he says, not actually seeking permission. Didn't you used to be the patron of loom weaving? What's with the downgrade? The class collectively sucks in its breath. Athena's eye twitches. You grip your reed tighter. Looms are outdated. She snaps. Too large, too complicated, too prone to emotional entanglement. She doesn't elaborate, but you sense there's a story there, probably involving a love triangle and a cursed scarf. Baskets, she says more firmly, are modular, versatile, scalable. Historians still argue whether Athena genuinely distanced herself from loom-related worship later in Greek history, or if poets just got tired of describing textiles. Some scholars believe basketry was a metaphor for containment of wisdom, of power, of potential, or, more fringe, they believe Athena suffered an emotional meltdown after a tapestry-related betrayal and reinvented her divine brand entirely. You lean in. This part's good. I had a dream, she says now, voice quieter, not a prophecy, a nightmare. The gods were bored, restless, inventing new sports involving mortal tears. I realized, if we don't create, we destroy. You can tell that this isn't in the syllabus. The Cyclops stops gnawing. Even the ghost falls silent. Athena exhales sharply, catching herself. So, tonight we study coiling techniques, counterclockwise only. Clockwise weaving causes madness. That's just math. You try to follow, but your reed splits again. You sigh. The Naiad offers you some waterproof glue made from snail mucus. You accept with a nod of eternal gratitude and mild disgust. Athena moves around the room, inspecting your tragic attempts with silent judgment. Every once in a while, she grumbles about symmetry or threatens to reincarnate someone as a fig leaf. You get a little better. The pattern starts to make sense. It's not so much weaving as whispering to the material, letting it decide where it wants to bend. There's a rhythm to it. And for a moment, you forget you're in a cave classroom run by a divinely underpaid professor. Athena pauses beside you. Her fingers reach down not to correct, but to copy. She mimics your fold. Doesn't say anything, just nods once. It might be approval. It might be gas. Another joke from the back. Next week, divine potholders. Athena smiles coldly. Next week, practical applications of baskets in mythological warfare. You stop smiling. She continues. A well-placed basket can disable a centaur, store an enchanted scroll, conceal a snake. You scribble a note that just says snake basket or maybe. By the end of class, everyone's basket is slightly better. The Cyclops cries when his doesn't collapse. The Naiad's hair is fully integrated into hers. Even Phelon has stopped questioning authority. Distracted by the satisfying snap of dry reeds, Athena stands at the front, her eyes softer now. Civilization, she says, does not begin with temples. It begins with tools. You think about that, about how most myths focus on glory and violence. And yet, here you are, half asleep, with calloused fingers and a lopsided container that might hold 3 figs if stacked correctly. The bell doesn't ring, but class ends when the torches dim. The ghost returns to its jar. The Cyclops waves, knocking over a desk. Athena doesn't say goodbye, but she does leave behind her sample basket. You're not sure if it's a test, a gift, or a trap. You take it anyway. You show up early tonight mostly because you didn't sleep, partly because your new reed-scented fingers feel weirdly powerful. You cradle Athena's forgotten basket like it's made of prophecy. Honestly, it might be. You keep checking it for hidden messages or surprise owls. So far, just a faint whiff of time and something that might be divine stress. The classroom is emptier tonight. Half the torches aren't lit. The chalkboard still reads review, snake basket applications, and someone left an amphora labeled do not drink. You're guessing that warning's been ignored at least twice. A scraping sound interrupts your thoughts. You turn too fast and almost trip over a tail. The Cyclops is here. Early. Alone? Practicing in the corner with intense focus and an alarming amount of sweat. He's using reed, twine, and something that might be a cat whisker. You nod at him. He doesn't wave, just holds up his basket. It's good. Progress. He's about to speak when the cave door opens with the elegance of a boulder falling downstairs. Athena glides in, not storming, not smiling, just present. She's carrying a clipboard and a deadpan expression that screams midterm evaluations. Tonight, she says without preamble, we welcome new registrants. There's a rumble behind her. You brace instinctively, because new registrants could mean literally anything in the divine educational system. It's a Cyclops, but not yours. This one is taller, somehow, and wearing a laurel crown made of celery. He looks nervous, blinks his one giant eye at you and mutters, "Hi." Athena gestures him in like she's collecting misfit mythological Pokemon. The next student, a sphinx smaller than you expected. Wearing spectacles, she adjusts them and immediately raises her paw. Will this class cover logical paradoxes? Athena says nothing. The sphinx lowers her paw. Then lastly, a surprise. A mortal. You blink, so do several immortals. The room leans sideways emotionally. She's a girl with ink-stained fingers and that I've been cursed before. It's fine energy. Mortal students are rare, especially voluntary ones. You wonder briefly if she's lost or cursed, or both. Athena clears her throat. Let's begin. She says, tonight's goal, cohabitation of materials. You barely suppress a sigh. This is Athena's thing. Big words for small tasks. Basically, you're combining different plant fibers to see which ones fray under pressure. It's more intense than it sounds, especially when the new Cyclops keeps sneezing into his materials and the Sphinx critiques your design choices mid-bend. The mortal girl, surprisingly good. Her hands move like she's done this before, maybe in another life, maybe in a weaving cult. You try to sneak glances at her basket, and every time, she notices, smiles, says nothing. There's a low humming in the background. The torches flicker. The ghost in the pickle jar is absent tonight. The room feels quieter without his muttering. You miss him. A little. No one to correct your Latin conjugation when you silently name your basket Glorificandus. Athena begins pacing again. You can tell something's off. Historically speaking, gods go through phases. Some historians believe these shifts reflect the changing priorities of ancient cultures. Others think it's just divine boredom. But here's a fringe tidbit. Some obscure scrolls suggest Athena once attempted to start a full divine education system, Mount Olympus University, if you will. But it collapsed when Ares refused to stop drawing battle diagrams on the whiteboard. Remember, Athena mutters, baskets are not just containers. They're metaphors. For, asks the new Cyclops, for patience and consequences. It doesn't help much. Your own basket is shaping up oddly well tonight. Maybe it's the quiet. Maybe it's that you're low-key competing with the mortal girl. Maybe it's the celery-scented air drifting from the new Cyclops. Who knows? You finish a row, pause, look up, and catch Athena. Watching you, not judging, not scolding, just observing. Her face is unreadable. She breaks eye contact fast, turns to the Sphinx, who's now attempting to weave with her hind legs because front paws are too obvious. Athena says, you all must prepare for something harder. No one responds. Not even a sarcastic feel-on joke. You realize he's missing tonight, probably suspended, or turned into a ladle. Athena continues, there is a guest teacher tomorrow, an unexpected one. She will test you. You raise your hand. Who? Athena doesn't answer. Instead, she whispers something into her owl's ear. It flies off, trailing chalk dust. Here's the part historians debate: whether divine pedagogy ever really existed in structured form, or if this whole class situation was symbolic storytelling layered onto oral myth for entertainment. Some say the gods would never lower themselves to classroom behavior. Others say that's exactly why they had to understand mortal struggle, to mock it, or to genuinely bridge it. Your fingers cramp slightly. You stretch. The reed cracks gently, almost like it's size 2. The mortal girl finishes first. Her basket is absurdly symmetrical. Athena raises an eyebrow, doesn't praise it, just taps the rim twice, then walks away. It's the closest thing to an A+ you've seen all week. The Sphinx mutters, I knew it. Mortals get preferential treatment. The Cyclops sneezes into his celery. You smile. You're getting it, sort of. And not just the weaving, the rhythm, the stillness, the way the work hushes your thoughts. Athena collects the baskets without comment. Her fingers brush yours for a second. Cold, dry, focused. You'll need this, she says cryptically. She's talking about your work, or maybe something else. The class ends. You linger. The mortal girl walks past, says, nice curves. You realize she means your basket. You think? You decide not to clarify. You walk home with Athena's old basket in one arm and your own lopsided creation in the other. And for a moment, you feel like a god, a very tired, very itchy-fingered god. You walk into class tonight carrying both baskets, yours and Athena's original, which you've started referring to in your head as the prototype. It makes you feel important, or maybe just eccentric. You set them side by side on your desk, like you're opening an exhibition no one asked for. The torches are already lit. That's the first red flag. Athena never lights them early. She likes to make everyone squint for the first 5 minutes to develop patience. You take your seat. The Cyclops gives you a nod. The Sphinx is rereading the textbook upside down. The mortal girl. She's here again, early. Basket already complete and perfect. Obviously, she catches your glance and smirks like she just beat you in a race you didn't know had started. Then the room shifts. Athena enters with a different energy. Tonight, slower, sharper, like someone preparing to conduct a duel. She's not alone. Trailing behind her is a tall woman in a crimson shawl, with eyes like polished obsidian and a smile that doesn't quite make it to her cheeks. Her hair is pinned up with what looks like bone needles. She walks like she's measuring each of you for a very slow spell. This, Athena says simply, is Eris. A few students gasp. One drops a basket. The mortal girl leans back, interested. You've heard the name. Of course you have. Mainstream mythology paints Eris as the goddess of discord, the one who caused the Trojan War just to stir the pot. Some fringe historians believe she was originally a goddess of competition and chaos in craft circles. Long before she was blamed for golden apples and world-ending drama, still others argue whether Eris even existed in early myth cycles or was a literary invention to explain why all dinner parties eventually go off the rails. But in this cave classroom, she is terrifyingly real. I've been invited, Eris says, voice like silk over a blade, to offer a lesson in contrast. Tonight's theme: looms versus baskets. You hear Athena exhale long and slow. You realize this was not her idea. Some of you may know. Eris continues, gliding across the room, that Athena used to prefer looms, tapestries, grand designs, patterns so tight they bordered on obsessive. Athena doesn't respond. But, Eris says, reaching the front. Then came the basket era. Smaller, tamer, more contained. She taps a reed basket like it insulted her sandals. So we're doing a comparison project, she says. Basket versus loom. You'll pair off. Compete. One person builds a basket. One. A small woven square. We see who makes something more disruptive. Athena's jaw tightens, but she doesn't interfere. The class stirs with awkward energy. You end up paired with the mortal girl because of course you do. She smiles in a way that makes you deeply suspicious and deeply curious. I'll take the loom, she says, already reaching for the yarn bin like it's a weapon stash. You nod. Resigned. Basket it is. Eris claps her hands. Begin. What follows is not peaceful. The Sphinx is muttering riddles about tensile strength. The new Cyclops is tangled in a loom and seems oddly calm about it. The Naiad is trying to dampen her fibers with elbow water, again still gross. The mortal girl is working fast, too fast. Her hands blur, her pattern tight and spiraling. You start your basket with trembling fingers. Eris is circling, judging. Athena retreats to a corner, arms crossed, not interfering, but visibly vibrating with frustration. Your basket, somehow, begins to take shape. Not perfect, but steady. You remember Athena's lessons: containment, structure, grace under pressure. Eris pauses behind you. It's very obedient. You freeze. She turns to the mortal girl's loom square. It's chaotic. One corner flares outward. There's a knot in the middle that shouldn't be possible. But it works. Somehow, Eris beams. Aha! Now, this is storytelling. The mortal girl shrugs like it's no big deal. You hate how cool she is about it. Athena finally speaks. Chaos is not always the goal. Eris turns. But it is always the origin. And now the room is silent. Here's something even the best scholars can't agree on: the rivalry between Athena and Eris. Some claim they were once close two aspects of the same divine archetype. Others say Eris envied Athena's structure, while Athena feared Eris's freedom. Still others suggest the gods didn't actually dislike each other. It was mortals who forced the dichotomy, choosing sides to explain their own messy lives. You finish your basket. It's not flashy, not weird, not chaotic, but it holds. It's clean, balanced. And you realize something. Athena isn't just teaching technique. She's teaching restraint, control, the power of doing something well without drama. And Eris, she's the drama. Eris walks by your desk again, smiles. You could be dangerous, she says softly, if you ever stop following instructions. You're not sure if that's a compliment or a prophecy. She collects the projects, glances at Athena. We should co-teach more often. Athena doesn't blink. Please don't. Class ends early tonight. The torches dim faster. The mortal girl leans over before leaving. You weave like someone who thinks too much. You raise an eyebrow. You loom like someone who burns too fast. She grins. Touché. You leave with both baskets, your own and the prototype, and a head full of questions. Tonight wasn't about winning. It was about recognizing the thread that ties structure to chaos, control to disruption, and how every weave, loom, or basket starts with a single bend in the dark. The next night, Athena is already at the front when you arrive, sitting cross-legged on her desk like she's trying meditation, but accidentally channeling military strategy. Her owl isn't there. That's unusual. You glance around, half expecting Eris to slither in again with a smug grin and a loom made of lightning. But no, tonight feels different. You take your seat. Your fingers still buzz from last night's chaos. The mortal girl enters behind you, humming a lullaby that definitely has threats baked into the melody. She doesn't look at you, but she knows you're looking at her. The Cyclops plops down with a thud. He's wearing a laurel wreath made of spaghetti. No one mentions it. Athena stands, no greetings, just a crisp, clipped phrase. Today, we talk function. You blink. That's it. She walks to the board, scribbles tactical basket applications, and underlines it twice like it owes her money. Tonight, apparently, is about weaponized storage. Do not be deceived, Athena says, holding up a narrow woven cylinder. This is not a wine carrier. It is a containment unit for flame stingers. You don't ask what flame stingers are. You already don't want to meet them. She paces. Every war needs infrastructure. That includes baskets. How do you carry cursed scrolls? Pack phoenix eggs for a long siege. Transport a harpy's lunch without getting mauled. The class is quiet. The Cyclops is trying to write egg basket in his notebook but keeps misspelling both words. Here's your mainstream historical fact for tonight. Ancient Greece did have tactical uses for baskets. From carrying military rations to storing arrows, baskets were lightweight, adaptable tools used even in combat scenarios. They were woven from materials chosen for durability like willow, palm, and, occasionally, horsehair. Functional, essential, overlooked. Athena taps your desk. Design 1. Now, you blink. For what purpose? She smirks. That's part of the challenge. You start sketching. What's a crisis that can be solved with basketry? The mortal girl next to you is already weaving. She doesn't ask for clarification. Of course not. You hate her a little, or admire her, or both. You decide on a stealth basket, something that can hold messages, seal itself, and maybe explode if opened by the wrong hands. You're not sure if that's tactical or just paranoid, but it earns you a nod from Athena, a surprisingly genuine one. The Sphinx is weaving a tripwire trap into hers. The Naiad has built a basket that floats and whistles at specific temperatures. The Cyclops, bless him, is still trying to make a handle that doesn't collapse under its own existential weight. Athena begins moving around the room with her usual precision. But tonight, there's something softer in her tone. Less lecture, more reflection. She pauses at the Sphinx's desk. Multi-purpose, she murmurs. You might survive longer than expected. She stops at yours. You think like a strategist, but you hide it. You're not sure if you're supposed to respond, so you nod, which is vague enough to not get cursed. Athena holds up a particularly beautiful basket woven from fire-treated reeds, lined with what looks like dragon-scale parchment. She turns it slowly in her hands. This, she says, is from the Second Siege of Delphi, used to smuggle sacred blueprints out of a collapsing temple. Wait, the mortal girl says. That was real. Athena raises an eyebrow. You think history just floats in on scrolls and good intentions. Historians still debate whether the Siege of Delphi was a metaphorical story, an actual battle, or a cleverly disguised parable about cultural theft. Some texts reference lost knowledge protected in reed-locked coffers, which could very well be baskets. Others suggest it's all propaganda to elevate Athena's PR. Like everything divine, the truth is woven somewhere in the middle. Your basket is functional, not pretty, but clever. It uses 2 types of reed, a coiled lid, and if you do say so yourself, a false bottom that could easily hide a map, or a sandwich. The mortal girl notices. Impressive. You look at her. Yours. She tilts it forward. It looks like a baby cradle crossed with a bear trap. You nod respectfully. tactical and traumatic. She beams. Athena claps once. Loud. Final. Good. Now, reverse engineer someone else's. This Cyclops groans audibly. What does that mean? It means, Athena says, take someone else's basket and figure out how to destroy it. You stare at her. She stares back. Conflict creates clarity. You swap with the mortal girl. You now hold her trauma cradle. It has exactly 4 layers, 1 sharp edge, and somehow smells like rosemary and regret. You try to deconstruct it without hurting it. Fail. It falls apart like a house of ambition in a windstorm of doubt. She watches silently, not angry, just amused. Then she disassembles yours in 5 moves. Smooth. Precise. Too much trust in symmetry, she says. You should hate her. But honestly, you might be in love. Class ends with a new assignment. Design a basket that can't be deconstructed. You realize you'll be thinking about that all night, about how to make something strong enough to resist not just hands but intent. The torches dim. Athena doesn't dismiss you. She just vanishes. The mortal girl lingers. Tomorrow, she says, I'm bringing blades. You blink. For the basket. She grins. Maybe. You leave the classroom carrying your half-broken basket and a brain full of questions. Tonight, weaving wasn't about making something useful. It was about learning how and why things fall apart. You arrive to find your usual seat has been taken by a peacock. It stares at you, eyes full of malice and unearned confidence, perched on the reed chair like it's paying rent. You back away slowly, choosing another seat 2 rows down, beside the Sphinx, who's currently braiding 3 baskets into a single existential crisis. Don't provoke it, she whispers. It belongs to Hera. You freeze, because of course it does. And yes, Hera is also here tonight, seated in the back row, veiled, motionless, and radiating passive aggression so strong the torches are dimming out of respect. She's disguised but poorly. You recognize the divine aura, the floral perfume that smells faintly of courtroom threats, and the way the peacock keeps side-eyeing Athena like it's filing a complaint. Athena is trying not to notice. She strides in, more composed than usual, but with a subtle twitch in one eyelid that says, why me? Why this? Why now? She does not introduce Hera, doesn't even glance her way, but every word tonight is delivered like it's being judged by a divine tribunal. Tonight's lesson, Athena begins, is critique. You brace for impact. Each of you, she says, will present your work so far, not to me, not to your partner, to the class. The room groans. The Cyclops immediately tries to blend into the wall. The mortal girl stretches like she's been waiting for this moment all week. Athena adds, we're being audited. She doesn't say who. She doesn't have to. Hera's peacock fluffs its feathers ominously. Here's your mainstream historical fact. Public critiques were very real in ancient education, from symposium debates to apprenticeship reviews. Greeks placed enormous value on peer feedback, often brutal, occasionally productive, and always theatrical. Even in craft guilds, young artisans were expected to defend their work with logic, grace, or acceptable bribes. Athena calls the first name Pholon. He's back. You hadn't noticed him rejoin the class until now, apparently no longer suspended, though his toga looks a little scorched. He stumbles to the front, holding a basket shaped like a spiral galaxy. You're not sure if it's genius or migraine-inducing. I call it the infinite container, he says. It's meant to hold possibility. Athena blinks. Does it hold grapes? He shrugs. Metaphorical ones. The class titters. Hera doesn't move. Next, the Sphinx. She brings forward her braided creation, announces it is a practical, symbolic, triple-layered vessel of conditional logic, and then stares at the class until someone claps. The Cyclops waddles up with a flat disc he insists is a scroll platter. Athena says nothing, just marks something on her clipboard. Then, your turn. You stand, basket in hand, the one you've been improving nightly. Small, reinforced, with curved handles and a dual bottom. It's functional, balanced, quietly clever. You explain your weave choice, your structural compromise, how you hid a locking mechanism in the rim disguised as decorative knots. Athena nods, just once. Then Hera speaks. From the back, voice low. Oh, perfectly measured. Charming, she says, but it lacks ambition. You freeze. So does everyone else. Athena's jaw sets. It wasn't made for display, you reply, surprising even yourself. It was made to work. Hera tilts her head slightly, like you've just said something naive, or possibly brave. You're not sure which would be worse. Next, the mortal girl. She walks up carrying 3 baskets stacked. She's grinning. This one stores tools, she says, gesturing to the base. This one disguises poisons. She taps the middle. And this one, she says, lifting the top basket with a flourish, is empty. Everyone leans in. She turns it. Inside, inscribed with reeds, are the words, "If you can read this, you're too close." The class laughs. Even the peacock blinks. Athena raises an eyebrow. Hera actually smiles, crafted with paranoia. Hera says, almost warmly, delightful. You hate how smug the mortal girl looks afterward. But also fine. It was objectively a power move. Athena claps once. Tomorrow, she says, we begin final projects. A hush falls. These will be judged, she adds, by someone other than me. You look at Hera, but she's already rising, veil swaying like foreshadowing. She leaves without another word. The peacock follows. Athena exhales for the first time in an hour. The class disperses slowly. You linger, adjusting the rim of your basket. The mortal girl walks past. Empty basket. You say, nice trick. She shrugs. Sometimes emptiness says more than clutter. You frown. That basket had text inside it. That's not empty. She grins. Exactly. You leave feeling like you just lost an argument in a dream you'll have again tomorrow. But you're learning not just how to weave, but how to be watched and how to hold your shape under it. Tonight, class feels like finals week at Mount Olympus Community College. The cave smells like damp anticipation and overcooked laurel leaves. Someone spilled olive oil near the door. The torches burn a little brighter than usual, casting long, wiggly shadows that look like they're whispering test answers. The Sphinx is pacing. The Cyclops is humming what might be a war song or a lullaby. It's unclear. The mortal girl. Already seated, already weaving, already smug. You can tell she's made peace with chaos and now uses it as conditioner. Athena enters last. No owl, no clipboard. Just a single piece of parchment in her hand. She posts it to the wall with a ceremonial stab of a reed. Final project. Function plus beauty plus defense. She turns, arms crossed. This is the assignment. Your last one. You'll be judged on usefulness, construction, and the ability to survive moderate divine sabotage. A beat. Questions. The Cyclops raises a trembling finger. What counts as moderate sabotage? Athena shrugs. If it doesn't dissolve, scream, or try to bite me, it's moderate. Great. You're given the full class time to begin prototyping. No lecture, no help. Just you and the silence of people pretending they aren't panicking. The mortal girl unrolls a massive scroll labeled Pre-Final Ideas, just in case. You want to hate her. Again, still, forever. You start with what you know. Stability. You pick reed and papyrus. Your concept. A basket that detects lies. Yes, really. You figure if Athena wants usefulness, beauty, and defense, then truth detection is all 3. It's just not exactly proven science. But hey, neither are half the monsters in your class. Here's your mainstream historical fact. Some ancient Greeks believed in the existence of truth weaving, a type of symbolic basketry used by oracles or seers. The way the weave bent under pressure or shimmered under moonlight was thought to reveal lies, mostly pseudoscience, but woven into actual ritual items. Fringe believers claim these baskets contained divine hair strands from gods woven into the rim to create a kind of psychic circuit. No, really, you don't have divine hair, but you do have ambition. And a few strands of Cyclops lint from yesterday. Close enough. You work steadily, methodically. Each bend, each coil is precise. You're aiming for a basket that says, I know what I'm doing and I dare you to question it. Athena passes by, doesn't speak, just taps the basket's rim once, thoughtfully, then moves on. It's both encouraging and unnerving. The Sphinx has created a shape that's technically a Mobius strip. She's not even sure which side is in anymore. She looks thrilled. The Cyclops is weaving his final piece into a wearable backpack. It whistles when you lie, accidentally. He didn't plan that, but Athena calls it inspired. The mortal girl? Oh, she's building a trap. It's elegant, small, delicate looking, but the way her fingers move, you can tell it's rigged. Maybe not to explode, but definitely to do something unpleasant if touched wrong. You try not to care. Fail. Athena announces, tomorrow, your work will be tested. In front of guests, a collective groan ripples through the cave. Guests mean other gods, or worse, mortals with clipboards. Tonight, Athena continues, you may stay late or not. Your progress is your own responsibility. She doesn't leave, but she retreats to a corner, cross-legged, silent. You keep weaving. Around you, the cave fills with the quiet rustle of reeds, the occasional grunt of frustration, and one very dramatic sigh from the Sphinx when her basket collapses into metaphor. The mortal girl approaches you eventually, not to gloat, not even to compare. She just holds up a thin reed. This splits differently. She says, twist, don't pull. You take it. She nods, walks away. You didn't ask for help, but it helped. And now your weave lies flatter, tighter. Progress. Historians still argue whether gods truly respected mortal craftsmanship or merely tolerated it. Some say the line between divine and human creation was never as thick as we thought. Others suggest final exams like this were metaphorical trials to pass inner thresholds, or maybe the gods just got bored. You finish your prototype. It's light, circular, decorative knots on top, hollow base. If someone lies within earshot, a single thread shifts, barely. You think, you test it by whispering. This looks amazing. The thread quivers. Fair enough. You don't sleep much that night. Not from fear, not exactly. From wondering if a basket really could know truth. Would it ever want to hold anything again? You show up early. Too early. The torches haven't been lit yet. And the cave echoes in a way that makes you feel like the last thought in a forgotten mind. You sit down anyway, fingers already twitching around your basket like they're checking for pulse. Tonight is demonstration night. You look at your creation, your lie-detecting basket, coiled tight, rim reinforced with braided reeds and your last shred of confidence. You twist one strand just to feel it resist you. It does, which is comforting and annoying in equal measure. One by one, the others arrive. The Sphinx, now wearing a sash that says self-appointed class critic, floats to her seat without touching the floor. You don't ask how. The Cyclops has a new headband and is dragging a basket large enough to fit a full-grown goat. It glows faintly, worrying. The mortal girl, she walks in dead last, whistling. Her basket sits in one palm, compact and terrifying. If weapons had charm school, hers graduated with honors. Then comes Athena, and with her guests, not just any guests, Olympians. The first one through the arch is Apollo, glowing faintly and looking like he got lost on the way to a lyre recital. Then Hermes, who's already eating from someone else's lunch basket and doesn't seem sorry. Demeter walks in next, brushing straw from her hair and carrying a clipboard made of bark. And finally, of course, Ares. He wears a scowl, and an expression like this is beneath him, which it definitely is. He sits in the corner and starts sharpening a spoon with a dagger. Athena doesn't introduce anyone, just gestures at you all like your exhibits. Final presentations begin now. Here's your mainstream historical fact. Craft competitions were absolutely real in ancient Greece. From Pan-Athenaic festivals to temple offerings, artisans competed for divine favor and patronage. Myths, like the one where Athena and Poseidon battle for Athens using gifts a spring versus an olive tree, reflect this cultural obsession with offering useful beauty to the gods. Athena calls on the Cyclops first. He waddles forward with his glowing goat-sized basket and places it reverently in front of Apollo. It emits light when filled with good intentions, he mumbles. Apollo raises an eyebrow. Define good. The basket glows. Hermes immediately tries to stuff it with stolen lunch. The glow fades. The Cyclops gasps in horror. Apollo chuckles. Hermes gives a little bow. Athena does not comment. She simply gestures to the next, the Sphinx. She rolls up with her Mobius basket. It contains paradox, she declares. How so? Demeter asks, squinting. If you place something in it, you cannot remove it without first asking a question that cannot be answered. Demeter frowns, such as, the Sphinx grins. Is a field still a field? If it remembers being forest, a pause. Then Demeter places a seed inside. It vanishes. Eris mutters, useless. The Sphinx purrs. Correct. You're up next. Your basket feels heavier now. You carry it forward and place it gently in front of Athena, a lie-detecting vessel. You say, clear but not loud. It reveals dishonesty through a shift in tension. Hermes immediately pipes up. I've never stolen anything in my life. The basket shudders. Athena actually smirks. Ares rolls his eyes. What's the point? You meet his gaze. Truth is dangerous, but it's more dangerous when hidden. A moment. Then Athena nods. That's all. Then it's the mortal girl's turn. She walks up. No nerves. No ceremony. She sets her basket on the stone. It's beautiful. Pale reeds, dyed edges, metallic threading like veins. It gleams like it wants to be noticed. This, she says, is a defense unit. If someone reaches inside without permission, she trails off. Hermes's hand is already halfway in. The basket snaps shut like a jaw. Hermes yelps. Blood drips from his finger. The class gasps. Even Apollo winces. Athena walks forward, opens the basket carefully. Inside, a scroll. She reads it. Her face changes just slightly. It reads, "Trust is a sharp edge disguised as invitation." Historians still argue about the presence of mortals in divine classrooms. Some claim they were chosen. Others say they snuck in and simply refused to leave. Fringe theories suggest that the mortal girl unnamed in most texts was actually a test for the gods, a reminder that mortals, given time, can rival even Olympus in cleverness. The gods converse quietly after the last presentation. Apollo nods. These are worthy. Demeter writes something leafy on her clipboard. Ares is already gone. Hermes tries to shake the mortal girl's hand. She offers him a second scroll instead. He looks at it, smiles, leaves. Athena faces the class. You've made something, she says, something real. A pause. You've passed. A hush. Then quiet applause, some reluctant, some stunned. You look at your basket. The thread is still at rest. You return to your seat, hands trembling. Not from fear, but from the quiet high of having done something that mattered. The mortal girl brushes past you on her way out. Nice work, she says. You turn. You too. She stops. And next time, she adds, don't hesitate. Your basket knew I was lying. Then she leaves. And you sit, thinking. Sometimes defense looks like silence. Sometimes beauty looks like honesty. Sometimes a basket is more than a basket. The next night is supposed to be a break. Technically, no new assignments, no guests, no golden-eyed deities scrutinizing your weave tension like it's a moral failing, just free exploration. According to the notice pinned to the torch post in Athena's slanted handwriting, but you show up anyway, because habits form fast, especially when they're made of silence, fingers, and reed work. You've started bringing your basket with you everywhere, tucked under one arm like a secret you're proud of. Sometimes you catch yourself turning it, testing it, waiting to see if it reacts. It rarely does, but you still ask it little questions in your head, just in case. Does she like me? Thread stays still. Did I pass for real? Bear quiver. Tonight, the classroom feels abandoned. No Cyclops, no Sphinx, no mortal girl, only Athena. She's seated on the floor, legs crossed, surrounded by an absolute explosion of failed baskets, bent rims, frayed reeds, collapsed ambitions. You didn't think gods could fail, but apparently, they hoard their failures in private like the rest of us. She looks up when you step in, doesn't smile, but doesn't shoo you away either. You sit beside her. After a moment, she speaks softly, like you've wandered into the part of the myth where the narrator lowers their voice. I once tried to design a basket, she says, lifting one from the pile. That could carry grief. You wait. You don't speak. She doesn't expect you to. I thought, she continues, if I wove it tight enough, strong enough, I could hold sorrow like a weight, move it, put it down. Pass it to someone else if needed. She turns the basket slowly. The rim is warped. The handle is split. It doesn't look like anything divine. It looks human. It didn't work, she says. Here's your mainstream historical fact for tonight. In certain regions of ancient Greece, baskets were used in mourning rituals. Some were left beside graves with offerings, bread, herbs, personal items meant to carry the soul's memory forward. Woven objects, especially those handmade, were believed to hold energy, a prayer, a sorrow, a goodbye. Fringe theorists suggest Athena invented that practice after losing something or someone and realized not all wisdom lives in logic. Some must be cradled. You pick up one of her failed baskets, run your fingers along the rim. It's unfinished. The weave rough and tight, like it was made mid-emotion. Athena watches you. Her gaze is sharp, but no longer judging. You learn faster than most, she says. You try to deflect, because you teach better than most. She actually laughs once, dry, surprised. No, she replies, because you listen. You sit like that for a while, in quiet, surrounded by failed forms and unspoken truths. Then she says something strange. Your basket, the one you made, it remembers you. You blink. What? She nods slowly. Every coil, every pull, every doubt, it holds them. It holds you. You glance down at your basket. It hasn't moved. But now, suddenly, it feels different. Like it's waiting. Athena reaches forward, lays her hand gently on it. It doesn't lie, she says. A beat. Do you? You don't answer. Not out loud, but your chest tightens in a way that feels like an unraveling. Here's something historians never agree on. Whether gods understand shame, whether their omniscience includes self-awareness, or whether they teach mortals to feel small because they themselves can't feel anything. But tonight, Athena looks tired, and maybe just a little mortal. You came back, she says quietly. You nod. Couldn't stay away. She gestures to the pile. Choose one. You hesitate. For what? To finish. You look at the wreckage, hundreds of baskets, each abandoned mid-thought. You pick the one she showed you earlier, the grief basket. Athena doesn't stop you, just hands you a fresh reed, the color of river dusk. And the two of you sit there, wordless, weaving grief together into something almost useful. The next night, the cave is crowded again, but not with students. The room hums with whispers, quiet as moss. You count the presences, but not all of them have shapes. Some are shadows on the walls, some are folds in the torchlight, some might be memories pretending to be gods. You set your finished basket down on your desk. Athena's old grief form, now rewoven by your hands. Its shape softened, but sturdy. Rim sealed with a kind of reverence you didn't know you possessed. Athena doesn't teach tonight. She stands by the far wall, back straight, eyes focused on a large wooden box that wasn't there yesterday. She says only this: tonight, we test what remains. No further explanation. The mortal girl arrives late. She carries no basket, just a single reed in her hand, like a knife or a metaphor. She doesn't sit. She stands by you, says nothing. The box creaks open on its own. Inside, a collection of broken things. Handles snapped, bases warped, baskets that couldn't hold, maybe some that shouldn't. One by one, you're asked to choose, not your own, someone else's failure. And then, fix it. The Sphinx grumbles about the pedagogical ethics of this, but obeys. The Cyclops sniffs dramatically and picks the smallest, saddest basket, cradling it like an injured pet. You look into the box. You choose one shaped like a wave that collapsed mid-crest, its rim buckled, its base torn. Someone tried something ambitious here and gave up halfway. You sit down and begin. Athena walks the room with quiet steps. No comments. No corrections. The mortal girl doesn't pick one. She walks the room instead, watching, taking notes in her head, or perhaps somewhere deeper. You wonder if she is a test, or if you are. Here's your mainstream historical fact. In some ancient Mediterranean rituals, objects that failed broken pottery, warped tools, even botched weavings were intentionally buried or burned as offerings, not to discard them, but to honor the effort, to recognize the labor that could not cross the finish line. But there's a rarer, fringe tradition. Some temples kept orphan objects' failures given to apprentices, so they could practice not just skill, but empathy. You bend to the task. Repairing a stranger's mistake is harder than fixing your own. You have no idea what they were aiming for. No map, no blueprint, only guesses. Intentions etched in tension. And your best guess about where the weight was supposed to go. The reed cracks once. You don't flinch. You whisper to it, not in words, but in shape. You start to understand. The class works for hours. No one speaks. Even the Sphinx is quiet. her basket now sprouting out of itself like a riddle that finally softened. The Cyclops weaves with surprising tenderness, tongue poking out in concentration. His basket has stitches now, thread running across gaps like a scar he's proud of. The mortal girl stops beside you, looks at your work, tilts her head. You didn't fix it, she says softly. You look up. No, you made it new. You nod. She places her reed, just the one on your table, and walks away. You finish the last coil. It holds. Athena claps once. All torches dim. You feel a shift, not just in the room, but in you. Athena speaks. You've learned to build. You've learned to break. Tonight, you learn to carry what wasn't yours. She gestures to the wall. There, somehow hang your work. All of it. Baskets from night one to now, displayed like a story. No labels, just shape, memory, progress. Athena adds, almost as an afterthought. Tomorrow, we choose what to leave behind. You stay seated long after the others leave. The cave is quieter now. You think about your first basket, awkward, splintered, made from guesswork and sleeplessness. It still exists, somewhere. Maybe inside all the others. Maybe inside you. Athena lingers at the entrance, her figure carved in shadow. Before she leaves, she says, that basket you fixed, it belonged to me. A long time ago. You nod. I know. She doesn't smile, but she doesn't leave either. Not yet. The cave smells like endings tonight. Not of rot or decay, but the peculiar scent of closure. Cool stone, burnt lavender, and the faint metallic edge of decisions that can't be undone. You walk in carrying nothing, just your hands. Athena said not to bring your baskets tonight. No tools, no reeds, just yourself. Everyone obeys, even the Sphinx, who looks weirdly naked without a satchel full of paradoxes. Athena waits by the wall, but tonight, she's not the one giving instructions. Because at the center of the room, right where the first weaving circle took place, sits a chariot. No horses, just stillness. It's old, dust-covered, and trimmed in bronze that flickers like it remembers wars. Field trip, says Athena. You glance around. The Cyclops looks nervous. The Sphinx is already climbing in. The mortal girl. She just walks up and takes the front seat like she belongs there. Athena nods once. Then you all board. No driver appears. The chariot moves anyway. No wind, no sound, just motion. Like being pulled by purpose itself. You pass through mist, through myth, through what feels like a metaphor you'll never fully unpack. And when the fog lifts, you're somewhere else entirely. The Oracle's lost closet. Yes, that one. Stone stairs lead downward into a narrow chamber lined with shelves, each holding baskets. Baskets, and more baskets. Some ancient, some divine, some suspiciously recent. Here's your mainstream historical fact. In Delphi, the oracle's belongings included various vessels, scrolls, and woven containers, some so cryptic they were never decoded. Offerings poured in from across the Hellenic world, many of them wrapped in reed or sealed in symbolic patterns. A few were buried on purpose, as if the truth inside them was better left unspoken. Athena steps off the chariot first. This is where abandoned futures go. You all follow. There's a hush in the room. Even the Sphinx doesn't speak. You're told to choose one basket. Any basket, but once you touch it, it's yours to open or leave closed. No one will guide you. No one will explain what's inside. It's a final exam disguised as scavenger hunt. You walk the rows, your hand skimming rims and handles. Some hum faintly, others pulse. One flinches, then you find it. Small, lopsided, tied shut with red thread. It's warm. You pick it up. The mortal girl chooses hers last. She doesn't even look around, just reaches straight for a long, flat basket on a high shelf. One that looks like it's waiting for her. Of course, the Cyclops picks one that rattles. The Sphinx chooses 3. No one argues. Athena stands at the entrance. You may open them now, or not. She never specifies. You sit. You untie the red thread. Inside, a piece of folded linen, worn, faint symbols stitched into it, and something heavier, a reed, fractured, half-burned. You touch it, feel. A memory, not yours. You see Athena not in armor, not in stone, but young, trembling, alone, trying to weave, failing, over and over, her fingers shaking, her eyes hollow. And then, this basket, this thread, this moment. you realize you're holding the first basket she ever gave up on. And it's still here, still holding. Athena watches you. Some truths don't vanish, she says. They just wait. The Cyclops opens his, it's full of teeth. No one comments. The Sphinx opens hers and immediately begins sobbing. The mortal girl, she doesn't open hers. She just hugs it. The room quiets again. Heavier now, but not in a bad way. Just real. Athena gestures. You may return what you don't wish to keep. You hesitate. Then gently you fold the linen, place it back, and tie the red thread again. Not because you're afraid of it, but because it's not yours to carry. You set it down. Athena nods. As you all return to the chariot, you feel different. Not older, not wiser. Just clearer. Some baskets were never meant to be filled, only understood. When the chariot rolls back into the cave, you expect fanfare, a final lecture, maybe an owl with a certificate in its beak. But there's none of that. The room is exactly as it was. Cool, quiet, vaguely judgmental in the way only limestone can be. Athena doesn't speak for a long time. Instead, she walks around the room slowly, passing each of you like she's counting breaths or regrets. In her hands is a small box carved olive wood. No lock, no label. She sets it on a pedestal in the center of the room. This, she says, is your next project. Everyone leans in a little. You will not weave tonight, she adds. You will listen. The box creaks open by itself. Inside, a scroll. Very old, very thin. It's frayed at the edges, as if the story inside has been read more times than the truth could tolerate. Athena begins to read aloud. It's a myth, one you think you know. Arachne, the girl who wove too well, who challenged the gods, who created such beauty that it offended Olympus itself. But Athena tells it differently. No smugness, no lightning bolts, no triumphant punishment, just quiet. Arachne was not punished for weaving. She says she was punished for revealing, for stitching stories no one wanted told. The room goes still. Here's your mainstream historical fact. The myth of Arachne has multiple versions. In Ovid's telling, her tapestry showed the crimes of the gods, Zeus's misdeeds, divine betrayals. Her work wasn't flawed, it was too true. And in return, she was turned into a spider, not for lying, but for honesty with excellent composition skills. The fringe theory. Some say Arachne's spirit never left, that she weaves still within stories, behind myths, hidden in every moment someone creates something they shouldn't. Some say she became the first invisible teacher. Athena closes the scroll. Then, quietly, she says, Arachne returns tomorrow. The Cyclops gasps. The Sphinx drops her stylus. The mortal girl smirks. She's been invited, Athena adds, to teach. You don't know whether to be impressed or terrified. Both feel right. Athena nods to you specifically. You will assist her. Your breath catches. Why me? Because, she says, you've built carefully, repaired without erasing. You understand how a thing was broken. You don't answer. You're too busy feeling like your ribs just turned to paper. Tomorrow, Athena says, you begin the unweaving. Everyone goes silent. Athena explains. The next project is not to build, but to undo. Each student will select one basket, any basket they've made, and take it apart, thread by thread, with intention, with memory, with reverence, not to discard it, but to understand it. You're already sweating. The Cyclops moans. But I just got the handles right. Athena gives him a gentle pat on the shoulder. Exactly. She walks back to her desk, sits, folds her hands. Nothing, she says, should remain sacred if it was built without understanding. You lie awake that night. You place your favorite basket, the lie detector, beside your bed. You stare at it. You whisper, do I need to let you go? No tremble. Just stillness. And somehow, that hurts worse. The next evening, the cave doesn't feel like a classroom. It feels like a stage. The torches are too bright. The stone seems to echo more than usual, like the walls are leaning in, hungry for whatever's about to happen. You clutch your basket against your chest like a talisman, as if it might vote you out of this assignment. Because tonight, Arachne teaches. You don't see her enter. You feel her first as a flicker in the corner of your eye, then a breath on the back of your neck, then a soft clicking sound, like 8 feet testing the floor for forgiveness. When she steps into full view, no one breathes. She's tall, almost too tall. Her hair spills down her back in threads black and glinting with silver. Her fingers are long, jointed wrong, and she wears them like a warning. Her dress is woven. You don't know from what. It moves on its own. Athena stands to the side, not teaching, not leading, just present, watching. Arachne smiles, not cruelly, not warmly, just like someone who's been waiting a long time to speak. Unweaving, she begins, is not the opposite of weaving. Her voice is smooth and dry, like parchment. It is the next part of the story. She turns to you. You flinch. Bring it, she says. Your feet move before your thoughts catch up. You place your baskets on the stone pedestal. She gestures to the lie detector, your favorite, your finest, the one that felt like you. And now, she's going to unravel it. I won't destroy it, she murmurs, but she doesn't have to. You will. Here's your mainstream historical fact. In ancient Greece, the concept of palinodies, poems that retract or revise earlier ones, was common. Writers were expected to challenge their own ideas, even undo them. Craft, too, had this ethic. A master could only call themselves complete once they had taken apart their best work, examined every piece, and proved they understood what they had made and why they made it. Arachne sits, not gracefully, not humanly. She invites you beside her. You sit. She points to the rim. Start there. You hesitate. She doesn't wait. Her hand moves, plucking the knot apart like she was there when you tied it, like she's unspooling a thought you never meant to speak. You begin helping, reed by reed, knot by knot. At first, it feels like erasing. Then, it feels like remembering. I see why you made this, she says. You were tired of guessing, of being unsure. You nod. And you exhale. And I wanted something to answer for me. A pause. She nods once. Most weavers do. The other students are watching. No one's weaving tonight. No one's joking. The Cyclops has his hands over his face. The Sphinx is writing something so fast, her scroll is smoking. The mortal girl, she watches silently. No smirk. No clever aside. Just eyes that see everything. The basket grows smaller, lighter. Soon, it's not a basket anymore. It's just a pile of memory-shaped fibers. Arachne leans closer, whispers, "You didn't fail. You finished." Then she does something terrifying. She places one thread, just one in your palm. Now build again. You stare at it. She's already gone. You blink. Athena is beside you. She crouches. Her voice is quiet. She doesn't stay long. The world doesn't know what to do with women who remember how to undo. You close your hand around the thread. It's warm, soft, yours. Athena rises, faces the class. Tomorrow, she says, you'll begin your final weave from one thread only. Everyone groans. Quietly, but no one leaves. You gather the unspooled pieces of your old basket, not to keep, just to remember. That night, you don't sleep. You sort the threads by feel. Some hold silence. Some hold truth. One smells faintly of ash and pride. You pick the softest one. You begin again, not because you must, but because now you understand how tonight is quiet, not tense, not eerie. Just the stillness of something whole beginning again. You enter the cave and it feels like a different room now, larger, somehow. Or maybe you're just seeing more of it. The shadows don't lean in like they used to. The torches flicker with a steadier rhythm. Even the stone under your feet feels warmer. Or maybe that's you, carrying less of what you used to. On your desk waits a single reed. Not a bundle, not a basket, just one. It's the thread Arachne gave you. The others arrive in staggered silence. No chatter, no grumbling. Just the rustle of sandals, the soft clunk of tools, the occasional sneeze from the Cyclops, probably allergic to emotional growth. Athena stands at the front, dressed simply. Tonight, no armor, no symbolism, no burden of being watched. She doesn't say much. Last weave, she murmurs, and that's it. No instructions, no rubric, no divine diagram with labeled spirals, just that one sentence and your own thread. You sit, you think, then you begin. You don't rush. You've learned that weaving isn't about speed, it's about listening. You let the reed guide you. It curves how it wants. You don't force it. You follow. It feels different this time. Not because you're better, though you are, but because you're not trying to prove anything. Not to Athena, not to the mortal girl, not even to yourself. Just trying to see what happens when one thread is enough. The Sphinx is weaving with her eyes closed. The Cyclops is humming again. His basket already looks like a hat with ambition. The mortal girl. She hasn't started. She's just sitting with her thread coiled in her palm like it's a secret she hasn't decided to tell. Here's your mainstream historical fact. Ancient Greek artisans often believed that the first thread in a weave carried the soul of the project. It was called the psyche, the breath of the work. If the first coil was tight and patient, the rest would follow in harmony. Some even whispered prayers into that first turn, hoping the object would carry it onward. You whisper nothing, but the thread listens anyway. Athena walks the room, slower than usual. She doesn't critique, she watches. Sometimes, she leans down to touch a basket, not to fix it, just to remember it. She stops behind you, says nothing, but after a moment, you feel it. The faint warmth of approval, or maybe it's just the torchlight. Doesn't matter. You keep going. The basket isn't big, it isn't fancy, but it's yours. It has 3 intentional flaw spots where you pulled too hard, or turned too soon. You don't fix them. They belong. The mortal girl eventually begins. You hear her weaving. The sound is different from yours. Faster, more playful, like she's teasing the thread. You glance over once. Her basket is strange, oblique. The kind of thing that would collapse if made by anyone else. But with her, it works. Of course it does. You nod. She doesn't look, but she knows. Hours pass. You lose track of time. You lose track of fear. Your hands know what to do now. Athena stands again. This time, her voice is clear. Final. Tomorrow, we celebrate. The class stiffens. The Cyclops drops his reed. Athena adds, graduation, exhibition, olive cakes. The Sphinx weeps softly. There will be snacks. You smile. You look down at your basket. It holds. You don't name it. You don't explain it. You just let it be what it is. The version of you that's learned how to create without fear. When class ends, no one rushes out. People linger, even Athena. The mortal girl walks past your desk, stops. She looks at your basket, then at you, and then she does something you'll remember forever. She hands you hers. Not to keep, just to hold. You take it. It's warm, weirdly heavy for its size, and inside, one single thread. Yours, from earlier. The one you gave up when you rebuilt. She kept it. She says, you dropped this, and walks away. You don't say thank you. You don't have to. Some things are understood. You arrive early, not because you're nervous, or uncertain, or hoping to impress anyone, but because, for once, you just want to sit with your basket. No edits, no judgment, just presence. It rests on the desk like it's always belonged there. Not perfect, not symmetrical, but whole. You run your fingers along the rim, remembering every pause, every mistake you chose to leave in. It doesn't answer. It doesn't need to. Today is the last class, the final exhibition. The graduation Athena never promised but always planned. The cave has changed again subtly, but clearly. Drapes of golden linen hang over the entrance now, olive branches tucked into the corners. The torches glow steadier, taller. Someone lit incense, probably the Sphinx, and it smells like memory wrapped in citrus and something ancient. Maybe time. The others trickle in slowly. No fanfare. Just quiet steps, nods, smiles that say, we made it. Even the Cyclops has combed his hair. You think, it's hard to tell, but he looks proud. His basket is huge, unwieldy, full of divots and gaps, but it hums with effort. It means something. The Sphinx wears an actual toga embroidered with logical fallacies. She says she'll be grading Athena. No one argues. And the mortal girl, she walks in last, carries her final basket like a dare. It's different, not beautiful, not monstrous, just hers. Tall, open-topped, reinforced base, one looped handle and a thin, quiet rattle inside. You suspect she left something unsaid in it. She meets your eyes. You both nod. Athena enters with the calm of someone who's already said everything that matters. Welcome to the final demonstration, she says. Then, for the first time, She smiles openly. You may now present your last work. There are no judges today. No rubrics. No Olympians scribbling in the background. Just each other. The audience you've become. One by one, everyone steps forward. The Cyclops presents his basket for gathering thunder mushrooms during the rainy season, preferably while sobbing. It's charming. It whistles. Everyone claps. The Sphinx reveals a basket made entirely of riddles, literal woven questions. If you tug the wrong thread, it asks you about your childhood. Terrifying. Incredible. You present yours quietly. No speech, no metaphor, just the basket. A vessel for everything you didn't know how to carry at the beginning. Athena picks it up, turns it once, looks at you, balanced, she says, not because you aimed for perfection, but because you learned when to stop weaving. She sets it down gently. You breathe again. Finally, the mortal girl. She doesn't explain. She just lifts her basket, tips it slightly, and a single olive drops out. It rolls in a spiral, slow and deliberate, stopping at Athena's feet. Athena picks it up, smiles. No lies today, she asks. The mortal girl shrugs. Didn't pack any. Laughter real, full, loud fills the cave for the first time. Athena lifts her hand, and the cave responds. The baskets rise, all of them. Yours, theirs, even the broken ones from before. They hover mid-air, spinning slowly, gently, a constellation of effort. She says, these are not just objects. They are proof. You took something meaningless. You gave it purpose. And you didn't stop when it got ugly. She looks at you all. That is the shape of wisdom. Then she claps once, and the baskets settle back into place. The final moment arrives in quiet. You gather your things. The Sphinx steals a reed from your pocket, says it's for research. The Cyclops hugs you too hard and whispers, you're the only one who took me seriously. You believe him. The mortal girl walks beside you as you leave. No words, just shared silence, like two empty baskets acknowledging each other. As you reach the cave's edge, you glance back. Athena is alone now, sitting at her desk, unweaving something. You leave your first basket, yes, that one on a ledge outside the caves, not as an offering, as a reminder that you began once, and you'll begin again. The cave dims behind you. The stone under your feet feels softer now, like time itself has woven a gentler path. You walk slowly, basket in hand, breath even. Each step feels like an echo of every night you showed up, unsure of what you'd build or what would build you. Your hands no longer twitch with doubt. They know the weight of patience now, the hum of form, the stillness inside function, the quiet victory of choosing not to rush. The stars overhead shimmer a little more clearly tonight. Maybe they always did. You just hadn't slowed down enough to notice. You pass a patch of reeds along the path, and they rustle softly in the breeze like they remember you, like they know. You stop. Feel the cool air settle across your shoulders. You look down at the final basket. It's imperfect, honest, whole. It doesn't shine. It doesn't boast, but it holds. And maybe that's all anything needs to do. You take a long breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Your heartbeat slows. Your eyelids feel heavier. The torches are far behind you now. The wind sings something low, not in words, just in peace. You lie down beneath the stars. The basket beside you, empty, waiting, ready, just like you.